What's good, everybody? Welcome into Prime Time Early Edge. And we have tonight, perhaps, at least on paper, the best Sunday night football matchup of the year. It's the Dolphins on the road in the city of brotherly love, Philadelphia, to take on the first-place Eagles. In fact, it's a matchup of two first-place teams. So we have no time to waste on a crazy day or an interesting day in the National Football League. Let's bring in the stars of the show. You know, on Sunday nights, we go big, 6 wide. Counselor is here. The Maestro is here. AB is here. Coach Phil is here. And, of course, the man who loves himself some Eagles, Proppy. Excited for tonight?
Coach, I am fired up. I've had this circled on their schedule since the schedule was released. I can't believe this is finally here. We've got two of the most explosive offenses in the league in Philadelphia. We've got the Kelly Greens. The field looks beautiful as well. I'm so fired up.
All right. Very, very good. Well, we have a lot of things to react to. We're not even going to do that right now. I'm telling you today, Baltimore looked great. The Bears, Division II quarterback, they get it done. Broncos get it done late. And thank you, because I know EC is watching right now, guys, and I know, Phil, he's your boy. But I challenged him. Justin Herbert over 1.5 passing touchdowns. Oh, that little Venmo ding that I love so much. Hashtag levels, EC. Hashtag levels. But, gentlemen, this is a big game. Let's get right into it, all right? But before I come for Coach Phil's keys to the game, we've got some inactives. We've got a lot of big names tonight. So, Maestro, I want you to start us off. Go.
Well, the Dolphins were hoping to have their top corner, Xavier Howard. He's out. That means you've got Perry Nickerson and Eli Apple as your starting corners against A.J. Brown and Devonta Smith. But more significant, starting center Connor Williams is out with the groin injury, and that means Liam Eichenberg will get the start. I don't know if you recall, but his first start was at Buffalo. He gave up a sack. He got Teron Armstead hurt. The touchdown was nullified. He was a disaster in that game. And now Jalen Carter is back lining up opposite him. To me, that's bad news for Miami.
Yeah, that young stud from Georgia. So with all of that information, and thank you, Maestro, it's time for the Miami Dolphins keys to the game. Coach Phil, of course, we start with you.
Absolutely. That's good information, Maestro. That's gonna play a huge factor. You know, Miami's in for a big test tonight. They're going on the road. Okay, so we're talking about Mike McDaniels and Tua and Tyreek and Waddle and Mostert and all these weapons being compared to the greatest show on turf. We could spend 90 seconds talking about their offensive superlatives. We're not going to talk about that. We're going to talk about what happened to them on the road in week 1 when they had a 2-point win against the Chargers. They also won week 2, they went on the road, had a 7-point win against a struggling Patriots ball club. Week 4, they got dragged by 28 points against Buffalo, and now they're facing the Eagles on the road. And the Eagles at home have scored 31-plus points 4 games in a row. That's going to be a big challenge tonight. That's going to be a really exciting matchup for us to watch. The second key to the game for the Miami Dolphins will be they must improve their pass defense. All right, Jalen Hurts has weapons. A.J. Brown's arrow-up guy and all of his buddies are coming out ready to play. We talked about the QB rating every week. They're giving up a 98.9 QB rating and 105 rating to receivers on the outside, and we know the Eagles have great receivers. So what do we say when we have Xavier Howard out, like Maestro just said? What do we have? We have Jalen Ramsey, we know has been out. This is a real problematic area, and A.J. Brown has had 125 yards in 4 straight games. This is going to be a matchup to watch.
Wow, dropping stats and dropping knowledge. But that doesn't scare the counselor, not one bit. Our first best bet for the night is what, counselor?
So it's interesting because the inactive news came out. I got to tell you, I was leaning towards the Dolphins minus, or I should say +3. I'm going to go with their team total instead. So I like them to score points. The center being out really does bother me, but over 24.5 at -105, that's going to be the play for me. And the reason is because, first of all, the Eagles secondary is ravaged. And the pre-snap motion that Mike McDaniel imposes on defenses, I think it's going to be really important. And let's add the fact that both starting corners are out for Miami. What does that mean? The Eagles are going to score. I mean, you could take the Eagles team total. You could take the over here if you want. But I do think it impresses a burden on that Miami offense to make sure they score and that they're very, very efficient. So there's other plays I like here. I know other cappers have plays on a certain receiver that I've actually put on SportsLine as well. But I'm actually going with the Dolphins team total here over 24.5.
You guys are so creative on getting your own plays out there. It's fun to watch sometimes. All right, let's go to the Phillies. Phillies aren't playing tonight. The Philadelphia keys to the game. Coach Phil, back to you.
Yeah, so to me, the first thing is you got to find a way to get to Tua. You got to pressure this guy. He's number one in the NFL, getting the ball out of his hand. You got Mike McDaniels, who understands this guy's had concussions. I need to do a great job protecting him, and they have done that. If you don't get to Tua, you're going to lose. In the one loss that they have, he was sacked 4 times against the Buffalo Bills. Philadelphia, now they're second in QB hits in the NFL, and they're 5th in total sacks with 20. So this is something to watch really early to see if the Philadelphia defense can rattle Tua. The second thing is they have to develop a consistency in offense. It feels like they have all the pieces ready for an explosion. But, with Coach Sirianni, used to call plays in 2021. Then Shane Steichen took it over. Now Brian Johnson has it. Jalen Hurts has been there trying to figure all this stuff out. They're figuring it out. They're starting to move. But you can't have DeAndre Swift have 10 yards rushing, and then have 100 yards the next game. So what I believe they're trying to do is develop a consistent offense to get A.J. Brown, Devontae Smith, Dallas Goedert, and Swift going, and that should help them win the game tonight.
And the way they played last week in New York, they absolutely have to look at that this week and use it moving forward starting tonight. Love that. Now, Proppy, I'm coming to you because based off what Coach Phil just said, they're going to need one of these 2 big name receivers on the outside to have a day. Which one do you like?
Yeah, I like Devontae Smith tonight, Coach. I like him over 56.5 receiving yards. Devontae Smith leads all wide receivers in the NFL in route participation. He does not come off the field. He's run as many routes as any wide receiver in the NFL, so you've got to love that. His air yard share is very healthy as well. It's in the top 90th percentile at wide receiver. Hasn't really clicked. We haven't really seen those big triple-digit receiving games that we saw last year out of Devontae Smith, but I just think this is a great buy low spot. Larry mentioned and Coach Phil mentioned the Dolphins being without 2 of their top corners. We also, I think we have some squeaky wheel narrative here as well. Last week, Devontae Smith had some crucial drops, which led to the Eagles losing that game against the Jets. We're also getting a pretty significant discount as Smith's receiving yards is usually between 64 and 68. At only 56, he could get there on literally 1 reception. So with a game with a 51.5 point total that's going to feature a ton of yards, I think Devontae Smith is an awesome bet at over 56.5 receiving yards tonight.
And according to the chat, you can get that number or lower depending on what book you choose to use. Now, we've got a receiving total, but this defense for the Dolphins, Maestro, it has not been good this year at all, whether it's rushing or receiving. Who do you like tonight?
I like DeAndre Swift, a guy who's getting almost 70% of the carries in the last 4 games against a Miami defense that is 30th in success rate against the run. The game, script sets up well. That's what the Eagles want to do. And they have played the toughest schedule of opposing run defenses. And we saw it last week where he only got 20 yards against the Jets. This will be a breath of fresh air going up against that Miami Dolphins run defense. I'm on DeAndre Swift over 62.5.
All right, over 62.5. So we've heard from the counselor, Proppy, and the Maestro. Now, normally I don't make plays, not on every show, but I've found 3 that I absolutely love. Now, not all the numbers support this, but I absolutely love Jalen Waddle tonight. I think they're going to try to slow down, shut down Tyreek Hill, and his numbers are almost unbettable. His receiving number is 99.5. We'll go Waddle over 61.5. I don't mind his catch total as well. Some places 4.5, maybe 5. Don't mind that also. Then I'm going to go to Tua. I think they will be playing from behind tonight. And I think he will be throwing the ball a lot because you heard what Counselor said about the defensive backfield of the Eagles. Now, he does not normally go over 36.5 pass attempts. Doesn't normally. But I think tonight he will. I also like him to go over his yardage 279.5 because I think the game script will have them playing from behind. So I like both of those for Tua. So those are my 3 plays tonight. Now, many of you, Jared in the chat says, I love Phil's breakdowns. I know you do. I know everybody does. What a great addition to the show. But we also love, and when you got 2 quarterbacks like tonight, you just want to sit back and just see what comes out. AB, floor is yours, sir.
Thank you, Coach. I appreciate that. Let's bring up our man here and take a look at our first quarterback. Let me pull this full screen so everybody can see. If you are new to the no-fly zone, top left is the Eagles' defensive secondary completion percentage rankings across the NFL. Bottom left, Tua Tagovailoa's interception splits this year. Top right, that's just Tua Tagovailoa as a quarterback. Bottom right, Tua's stats this year. What do you want me to say? Tua has been phenomenal this year. He is just amazing. He is crushing it. 114 passer rating, 71% completion percentage, 1,800 passing yards, 14 touchdowns to 5 interceptions. Quite frankly, this is one of the easiest no-fly zones that I've ever made because he really doesn't have many spots where he makes mistakes. But the Eagles are a defense that can create that for quarterbacks that don't really make many mistakes if they get after you, as Coach Phil mentioned there. So that's really what it comes down to, and especially with it coming out of the left hand here for Tua. Interesting that it's on the left side. So you see in the middle, you see deep left. Those are the trouble spots. Now, the interesting part is interception splits. Second half, 80% of his interceptions have come there, and 60% of them have come when ahead because the Dolphins really don't play from behind all that much, and they kind of get bored on offense. Honestly, that's really what happens. They're just a team that can get bored out there. So pay attention to that. Now, moving over to our man, Jalen Hurts. Little bit difficult here in regards to him. It's not quite Tua's. All right, so you see the Dolphins secondary up there. Pretty dang good. Bottom left here, you see his interception splits. Hurts this year, 84.7 passer rating, 66% comp, 1,500 yards. But the last one right there, 7 touchdowns and 7 interceptions. He has put the ball up. And Coach Phil talked about it, and I'm interested to hear his thoughts here. Look at Jalen Hurts' splits. 100% of his interceptions, all 7 this year, playing from ahead. All right. The first quarter, only 14.2%. Why do I put that there? Because the Eagles are one of the hottest teams in the NFL in the first quarter. But they get worse as the game goes along. Second quarter, third quarter, fourth quarter. Their offense doesn't look quite the same. Phil mentioned it. Find consistency and play well throughout the game. So, as you see, if you take him tonight in terms of interceptions, you might have to wait a little bit, but history shows he has come through. So real quick, we'll get to Phil. Let me pull myself up so that you can see 3 picks for tonight. First, total punts, over 6.5. Smallest number I've ever seen this year. All right, minus 110. We're going to play it. Total turnovers, over 2.5, plus 105. I think both quarterbacks do put one up in the air, but with these teams, they fumble as well. Lastly, Dolphins, first half, team total over 12.5, minus 115. We should talk about the Eagles, one of the hottest teams in the NFL in the first quarter. Dolphins pretty good too. That being said, the Dolphins are the best team in the second quarter of the NFL this season in terms of scoring points, and the Eagles give up a ton of points in the second quarter. So we're going to play that first half. Team total over 12.5.
I'll let that marinate for a second before we bring Phil in, and I'll ask you one very, very simple question. Do you want to do the work, Phil?
Yeah, so just starting with Tua, and again, I always look at these and I approach these after I look at AB's breakdowns as far as what would concern me as a coach. So I'm listening to Ron Armstead, my left tackle. I'm listening to Connor Williams, so I'm expecting more pressure. When you get more pressure, you have those big, tall, this is one of the taller defensive lines you have and one of the smallest quarterbacks. Oftentimes, that's when balls get batted down. We've seen this happen for years. So Tua's not perfect, but again, if he gets pressure in his face, he becomes a very just average as pie quarterback. But when he's upright and they're protected, the ball tends to go exactly where he wants it to go. And just remember this, how small are these targets he's throwing to? If there's pressure, that becomes a factor as well. So thinking about that pass rush, ball's getting tipped, small targets on the road. All right, going over to Jalen Hurts. All right, just talking about, I saw 3 picks last week against the Jets. All right, so this is fresh in my mind. So when I see something like that, well, I'm thinking about, okay, why are you throwing the ball 100% interceptions when we're playing ahead? I know why. Because there's 3 or 4 receivers in the tight end and the head coach and tell them this is where the ball needs to go. We need to feed this guy. This guy got to get going. We need to get his touches. And all of a sudden, you stop going through your progressions the appropriate way. And you're trying to feed the ball to particular people because they're looking at the Jumbotron, seeing they got 3 catches for 26 yards, and it's the end of the third quarter, and they're starting to get loud. And that happens when you have a really loaded football team. So everybody has to kind of calm down, take a step back, and just let Jalen roll this offense and not put the ball in jeopardy.
I dare you to find another show that does that. Now, with all that being said, we have a former NFL coach, several years in Coach Phil. We have AB, who knows as much about the NFL as anybody that I know, but yet the chat. The chat wants to say this, because get ready for the block button, AB. And OG, Japan_5 says no fly zone is bucket zone. He owns this. Gotta leave it to a real capper. Somebody else in the chat said he's picking Jalen Hurts over a half an interception tonight on social media as his best bet.
Yeah.
What are we doing?
Buckets is crushing. I think he's undefeated this weekend in the NFL. I think he's 4-0.
I know. That's a problem. And he's 1-0 in the UFC.
UFC, I was going to say that.
I mean, what's he doing? All right, we got to get back to a few. See, let me come to you first, and probably I got one for you, then, of course, Maestro. So we're going a little rapid fire with so many different guys to talk about. But the chat wants to know about Tyreek Hill because I said his yards at 99 way too high, but his receptions 7.5. What do you think about Tyreek tonight?
Yeah, it's interesting because it is really high. Both of those are high, but I'd actually go with the yards. And it's because of what Mike McDaniel can do in space. Don't forget, this Eagles secondary, they've run through a lot of guys. And again, I mentioned pre-snap motion for a reason. I think there's going to be a lot of confusion in this secondary. I think both offenses are going to be able to score, but at the end of the day, we're going to see Tyreek Hill in space. And then you have to ask yourself, okay, what's the yak going to be? What is he going to be doing after the catch? Let's say he doesn't even hit that receptions over. Let's say he hits 7. What does he do with those 7 receptions? How many of those go beyond 20 plus? That's why I think we're looking at triple digits for Tyreek Hill. I know it sounds like a lot. It's certainly not an official play for me, but I'd actually stay away from the receptions. And by the way, Coach, it's partly because I like Jalen Waddle. If you look at his target share over the last 2 weeks specifically, they are making a concerted effort to get to the ball to Jalen Waddle. So, I mean, I think Tyreek Hill, maybe he lands right at 7, but the yardage, kind of like the over there.
All right. He validated my play. I feel pretty good right now. By the way, John in the chat says, Coach, can we pause to recognize the next level capper who advised his followers to grab Colin Morikawa after round 2? He absolutely nailed it. Next level capping. John, I would love to take that time, but we've already done it on the morning show or afternoon at noon. Thank you for watching. Clearly you did not. Now, Proppy, still love you though. Proppy, let me come over to you because we talked about Devontae. You love him. But there's another guy, strong. And when he gets in big games, if you don't feed him, normally we see him barking at his quarterback on the sidelines. And you know what I'm talking about. What about the night for A.J. Brown? His numbers at this moment, 5.5, 81.5.
Yeah, A.J. Brown has been absolutely phenomenal this season. Coach Phil mentioned consecutive games. I believe it's 4 or 5, over 125 receiving yards. He's been the engine of this Philadelphia Eagles offense, getting targeted vertically over the middle of the field, everywhere. He's just been absolutely phenomenal, really reliable target. Typically, last year, for instance, we saw more of an even distribution between targets between Tim and Devontae Smith, but it has certainly been the A.J. Brown show thus far this season. What's interesting about the Eagles, they have a hyper-condensed target distribution. It's A.J. Brown, it's Devontae Smith, and it's Dallas Goedert. They really don't get any other receivers involved. So the Eagles are one of the rare teams where, in my opinion, you can take overs on multiple players. So I actually would lean over on A.J. Brown. I'm comfortable playing Devontae Smith and A.J. Brown, both their yardage props, even Dallas Goedert as well. I don't know the exact number, but since A.J. Brown has joined the team, the 3 of them have been on the field together. I believe it's 20 or 21 games, and 90% of those games, 2 of the 3 have gone over their yardage total. So you could just blindly back all 3, and you'd be profitable betting their overs.
All right. Maestro, go.
I just want to take issue or question Prop Stars about his Eagles because DeAndre Swift has 20 targets the past 3 games. So do you think that's an anomaly, game script, or what?
I think DeAndre Swift's versatile skill set, so they're utilizing him in the short area passing game. Jalen Hurts, historically, though, hasn't really targeted running backs with any sort of consistency. So, yeah, I think Swift is a good player. You want to get the ball to him in space. I'm not suggesting he's just going to not receive targets tonight, but much more comfortable backing the vertical threats.
Hey, don't get hot, Proppy. I feel like you're getting a little hot at the Maestro. If you are, just say you are. I mean, come on.
Maestro and I are going to talk about that question off air.
In the meantime, let's talk, Maestro, about another one. Then AB, I'm coming to you, and then Coach Phil. Raheem Mostert. Uncle Dave has him from the prop show, over 2.5 catches. He was doing an interview this week, I believe, on the Pat McAfee show, and I was incredibly impressed by this guy. And he's become really a stalwart. And now with injuries in the backfield for the Dolphins, maybe he gets more play all over the place tonight. Your thoughts on Mostert?
Yeah, I like that in terms of a potential trailing game script, but Jeff Wilson, I believe, is active and could eat into some of that work for Raheem Mostert. So, yeah, but I do lean that way, lean over.
All right, AB, we're talking team totals. You already put in the first half for the Dolphins, but what about I like the over, and it's 24.5 for the Dolphins, 27.5 for the Eagles. I think if they get off to a fast start, both could come in. What do you think?
Yeah, honestly, I like both. Like, if we get both teams at their, not even have to be at their ceiling, but just playing well. All right. Yeah, I like both of them. And here's some nuggets to back up. You ready for these? All
Let's
right.
go.
Dolphins. Phil talks about offensive balance in the NFL and how important it is. Well, the Dolphins lead the NFL in passing yards per game, rushing yards per game, passing touchdowns, rushing touchdowns. The Dolphins offense is literally perfect. Now, the Eagles, their last 4 home games, they've scored over 31 points in all 4 of them. This team can go at home. The Dolphins could go on any planet, I'm pretty sure, right now. So, yeah, man, I don't hate either.
All right,
There's
quick.
a reason why the books have punts at 6.5. I've never seen that before.
Wow.
Never seen it before.
No.
By the way, real quick, from the hashtag It Pays to Watch Live category, if you watched earlier today, AB, what did you say about Arizona in the second half today earlier? Just want to tell people what they missed.
Yeah, Arizona has been outscored leading into today, outscored in the fourth quarter of games 64-7.
Interesting. And how many points did they score in the fourth quarter today?
I don't know. What did they get? 0? Yep.
Next level right there, ladies and gentlemen. And 0 in the third quarter, too. Yeah. There you go. Thank you, Seattle, for covering that 9.5. Now,
real quick, and I don't say this about me. I just say it for anybody that watched the show. If anybody played Lamar Jackson completions today, your man is killing it across the NFL. He's just crushing it.
I could have had 100 yards today against that Lions defense. Phil, let me come to you because this is a great question for you. Okay. Whenever you have a big name that's a little bit past his prime and he shows up on a team, they're, here we go. We've got Julio Jones now. If you were the wide receivers coach for this Eagles team, how would you get him involved? His number is only 10.5.
Yeah, so I like that because Julio Jones, he keeps himself in incredible shape. I mean, you just know this, all right? If anybody's been around this guy, it's really he's been there for almost 2 weeks now. They sent him to the practice squad, then they elevated him, so he's a professional. He knows the playbook. That would be the 2 biggest things. Is a guy in shape? Is he in any danger of him pulling a hamstring or getting himself in one of those 4 to 6 week soft muscle tissue type injuries? If he's not, and does he know the playbook? This guy's smart. He knows football. He's a professional. Like, I'd play him. I'd let him go. And I like big receivers anyways. You have somebody like, 12 and 21% with the 2 receiver sets. You have AJ Brown, and you have Julio Jones on one side, and you're running play passes with big in-breaking 5-step slants and digs. I mean, I like that. I like that thought process.
Mike is asking, Coach, can you even throw a football? Mike, do not question my athletic past. Trust me, we'll be here all freaking day. All day. All-state first baseman in baseball. Yes, I can throw a football very nicely. Almost 2,000 points in college in basketball. Yes, I can shoot the rock too. All right, now, let me come because I just lost my train of thought. Don't challenge me on my athletic career. Now, Council, let me come to you. We've got 3 minutes till the top of the hour, so I got enough time to go around one more time. When I look at these two tonight, I want you to give me a name, and I'll give you a number because they both like to do what? They like to go deep. So that longest reception that we don't always play, maybe tonight it's in play. Talk to me.
Oh, that's really interesting. I like that's really so. I mean, Tua, I haven't looked at what his longest reception number is, but you're talking about on the receiving end too.
Either way, for both quarterbacks are 38.5.
Yeah, I would actually look. I would look to the Eagles more than I would look to the Dolphins, but I guess I like the 38.5, believe it or not, for Jalen Hurts a little bit more than I do for Tua, which is a little counterintuitive to what I said about Tyreek Hill. I guess at the end of the day, I kind of like them both, but those are really high numbers at the same time. I would say both AJ Brown and Tyreek Hill after the catch, they're just so dynamic, and we know the reason I like it for the Eagles side is because Devontae Smith is a guy who's really getting downfield, whereas Jalen Waddle isn't getting downfield as much. So I think there's maybe 2 bites at the apple with the Eagles, whereas there's just 1 with the Miami Dolphins. But I will point out this as it relates to the quarterbacks. Jalen Hurts' number for touchdown passes is 1.5. and it's basically even money to take the over there, plus 100. I don't mind that. Listen, I know the Eagles can play bully ball and they can run the ball with DeAndre Swift, which Maestro would certainly love. Jalen Hurts can run it in the end zone too there. But this secondary, like we already talked about at the front end of the show, is so ravaged that it does make sense that Jalen Hurts might have that passing game to Dallas Goedert, to Devontae Smith, to A.J. Brown, to Julio Jones. 1.5, getting 2 touchdowns at plus 100, kind of like it.
I kind of like that too. Maestro, let me come over to you because they're asking in the chat about the combo number for DeAndre Swift, which is right around 88.5. You already gave out his rushing line. Why do you not like the combo total?
I do like the, I do like the combo total. I just like the rushing a little bit more because I do see the Eagles in a positive game script tonight. But just piggybacking on what Sia said about longest catch or longest throw, I think Devontae Smith is a great target here because his efficiency has not been there the last 2 weeks. 6 catches out of 16 targets, but he's running deeper routes. His average route is vertical now. And so that's where they're looking to get him the ball. 21.5, very doable.
All right, so our last one, we have 1 minute till the top of the hour. So, Proppy, I'm coming to you, big boy. Now, in the chat, somebody says, I'm greedy. I need 6, he says, props. I don't know if he's filling out something or not. He goes, no, I need 4 good guaranteed props. 6 would be great, but I'm more needy than I am greedy. Help me, please. So we've given out Devontae Smith, DeAndre Swift. Give me one more guy, Proppy, that we can look out and help our man in the chat. Give him one more prop. I'll give him the prop. You give me the name.
If I were to pick one, it would probably be Raheem Mostert's receiving yards. Even though I typically really don't like running back receptions prop, I wouldn't take the receptions here. I would take the yards at 14.5. He has been hyper efficient this year. They're utilizing him out of the backfield. The Eagles are very generous to opposing running backs, are able to catch the ball. I think they'll be playing from behind at times as well. And I think it's going to be tough to run the ball against the Eagles. So I do think we'll see Mostert utilized as a receiver, and he has such big playability. I'm more comfortable taking his yards because he can get 15 yards on 1 reception a lot easier than he can get the volume required to get 3 receptions, in my opinion.
All right, so there you go. There are your 4. Phil, go.
If you're playing from behind, imagine the Dolphins are playing from behind. You're going to be running a lot of vertical thing. 2 minute could be the same way. And then your running back comes in, runs a little check OB over the ball, and the ball gets dumped down. I mean, we've seen these things happen when guys getting 40, 60 yards on checkdowns with negative game scripts. So this Mostert's one of those guys that has enough speed that when you do check the ball down, he could break a tackle and get you 12 to 15 yards.
And I think everybody assumes that they'll be playing from behind most of the game tonight. That's how we think it's going to. We may not.
It sounds that way, like the way we're talking.
Okay. Anybody have anything else they need to get to as we have now crossed the top of the hour? Anybody have anything else? All right. It is now time. And Phil, I don't know if you were watching earlier today, but you got called out on the morning show.
Oh man, I didn't watch the morning show.
Because as we were, well, it's technically the noon show now on Sundays, but as me and Proppy and Counselor and AB were just so eloquently breaking down all 10 games today, my phone goes off.
Yeah.
And it was the first email to the email chain for the night show. And I looked down live on the air and went, oh, Phil just put in his gym pick.
That was you. That's not true.
It is true.
I was the third one. I wasn't the first one in today.
It happened live on the air. That's all I'm saying. Did I say you're the first one? I don't think I did. If I did, I apologize.
No, you didn't say it. You just had a very convoluted story. You didn't say anything about first, but I'm just defending myself here. I mean, I went through it.
I thought your story was just fine, Coach. Thanks.
Thank you, Counselor. That's why you're my 1B and nobody else. All right. AB, you know where you're at, kid. All right. Now, this is what we call the gym. If you are brand new to our brand, this is the fun portion of the program. You've got to pick who's going to score the first touchdown of the game. It's got to be plus 1,000 or higher. AB, I need receipts from you because it's way too easy just to go Jalen Hurts and he's plus 550 and they push his button to the end zone. We don't do that here. We make it a little bit more difficult. Now, who gets to go first? Well, we have 3 different cappers that have 2 gems next to their name. But Sia is the one that gets to go first. Counselor, who you got?
So I don't know if you've noticed, but I haven't run to the chalk every single time. I'm just going to put that out there. And I'm not running to the chalk this time either. I'm going with Dallas Goedert, who is really just kind of the lost soldier as far as the receiving core is concerned with this Philadelphia Eagles offense. However, the Miami Dolphins don't do really well defending the tight end. And we've noticed, speaking of concerted effort to get certain people the ball, Dallas Goedert is one of those guys over the last couple of games. I like tight ends in these primetime spots. They tend to find themselves in the end zone early, sometimes often. Let's go Dallas Goedert plus 1,900.
I'm normally shocked, but it's usually the other way. I can't believe you got this at plus 1,900. This is an incredible number for this guy. Incredible number for this guy. Now, Proppy gets to go next. And obviously, I'm playing this guy in the game tonight. Talk to me, Proppy.
Yeah, I'm going to go Jalen Waddle here. I think this is a good spot for him against the Eagles. Talked about all the offensive line woes for Miami. The Eagles also have a very good pass rush. Sia mentioned Jalen Waddle. One of the biggest differences between this year and last year is he's running routes a lot closer to the line of scrimmage. Last season, he was getting targeted a lot more vertically down the field. Hasn't really been the case this year. I do think we could see an uptick in volume for him in this game to sort of mitigate that Eagles pass rush if he's running those routes close to the line of scrimmage. So I think he's a good bet for the Gem as well.
I love Jalen Waddle tonight. Now, AB just recently got into the club for the second time. EC begged him for a second ticket. AB says, not going to happen. Now, with all that being said, AB, very suspect. However, I know that we have rules that when we turn them in, it's where it is then. You're very chalky tonight, sir. Explain yourself.
Not only am I chalky, I was the first one to send it in too. So, I mean, everybody, look, I'll take the fine on both of them. But the reason that I did it is this. Tonight's game features the number 1 and 2 leading receivers in terms of yards in the NFL. Tyreek Hill, number 1. A.J. Brown, number 2. Look, when you complain to the coach and the quarterback that you want the damn ball, well, buddy, you better catch the ball. And A.J. Brown's done exactly that. He has 125 yards or more in 4 straight games. My man is not dropping the ball. He has hands that are soft but firm. My man does not drop it at all. And they're trusting him. Look at his yardage here, man. So, Eagles, best first quarter team in the NFL, best wide receiver in the NFL. In terms of that on his team, I'll take A.J. Brown.
Did that make anybody else feel some kind of way? Soft but firm? I don't know, AB. I don't know about that.
Call HR immediately.
All right, I'm going to go with Braxton Berrios. Why? Because I went back a couple of games, and when Tua needs somebody that's not named Waddle or Hill or Mostert to score a touchdown, this is the guy. And at plus 2,200, I'm trying to play the game all kinds of different ways. I'm trying to get my second little gem next to my name with a plus 2,200. That is all I got. That's all I got because all the other names are taken. But this is the guy I would have taken anyway. Now, who gets to go next? Well, only because he interrupted my flow this morning during the first show of the day. I'm going to make Phil sit there. Maestro, you're up next.
Well, I mean, it serves me right. I'm out there on the flag football field with my 8-year-old Jaguars team facing the Cardinals, and everyone sends in every single play that I would have had. And, of course, you can't go Jalen Hurts or DeAndre Swift or anybody less than 10-1. So I'm going to take a shot on the Eagles, D. I mean, they do have a pick six. They have a big edge on the line of scrimmage. Darius Slay is back. He's the guy that can take it to the house. And maybe the protection breaks down and we get a fumble 6. So 40-1, Eagles.
Are you blaming your 8-year-old son for the fact that you didn't get who you wanted?
In a backhanded way. In a backhanded way, yes.
It kind of feels that way. How old's your son there, Phil?
He's 9.
Oh, he's 9. Is he the reason you haven't gotten a club yet?
No, I'm not blaming my children. I was so close to blaming when I said I didn't watch the show because I was with my daughter. I was so close to making an excuse, but I did. I held it together.
I wish you would have. All right, why do you like Devontae tonight?
Well, okay, we like Devontae Smith. All right. So first of all, there was no EC tonight. So, Coach, I took my anger out on you, and I apologize. All right, it was inappropriate. And I mean, I don't mean to disrespect you, Sia, but you take tight ends every time, so it's great. AB, how can you send the email and then be the first to respond on the email? That doesn't make any sense to me either way. All right, probably you're cool. All right. Devontae Smith, the Slim Reaper. After DJ Brown is double teamed, they're going to hit Devontae Smith in the right front pylon, toe drag swag, touchdown. I get in the club, and I'm going to be the worst to deal with for the rest of the season.
I thought you were going to go after one person. You went after the whole lot
I'm
of us.
coming for the whole roster.
Everybody.
The whole roster. I want them all.
Respect. I mean, respect. I mean, if you're going to do it, dude, take them all out. Respect.
Take them at the knees. Take them all out at the knees. I respect it. All right. If you want to play as well, go ahead and put it into the chat. And while you're at it, don't make me scold you. You guys are getting so lazy these days. We give you these great shows every time. All we ask is one single thing. Hit the like button. That's it. Hit the like button. All right, one sentence as we go around because we've only got about 7 or 8 minutes before Sunday Night Football gets started. Here's our best bets. If you just dropped in at the top of the hour, first of all, welcome. Counselor, C. Najat, start us off.
Yeah, I think both secondaries are going to get exposed here. I really like what the Dolphins do offensively, pre-snap, post-snap. Give me the Dolphins team total over 24.5. And oh, by the way, on SportsLine, I also have Proppies play, just FYI.
Maestro.
Eagles have faced a very tough schedule of opposing rush defense. This is a very easy opponent, and DeAndre Swift has gotten about 70% of the carries the last 4 games.
Proppy, you have the counselor's stamp of approval. Talk to me.
Yeah, we like Devontae Smith over 56.5 receiving yards. Had a couple crucial drops last week. I really think they're going to make a concerted effort to get him the ball. We're getting a hefty discount on this as well, and it's a great matchup against a depleted Dolphins secondary.
Uncle Dave's on Raheem Mostert over 2.5 catches tonight, plus 105. If you watch the prop show, you would know why. AB, you're up.
Coach, no one actually followed your instructions of just one sentence, but I'm going to do it right here. Hey. Take these 3 plays.
Jalen Waddle over 61.5. I just like him tonight. I think a lot of guys are going to have a lot of I would take overs on everybody, to be honest, including Tua with his passing yards and also his pass attempts. I think tonight they're not going to be able to run the ball on this Eagles defense, so I like the over on pass attempts as well. All right, you guys know we like to end every single one of our shows trying to educate and entertain, asking my guys what's the most important thing they're looking forward to in this game. Use it for tonight or into the future. Counselor, start us off.
Yeah, there's a lot of narratives. We talked about this at the 12 o'clock show in terms of some of these elite teams and who's good and who isn't. I mean, the Dolphins, when they've played good teams, the couple times they played good teams, they haven't performed very well. Philly has been a little stagnant on offense at times, and they let the Washington Commanders score 31 points. So something's got to give here. I'm really looking to see who puts their stamp on this game. It could go either way.
Proppy.
Tyreek Hill is off to a historic start, over 800 receiving yards through 6 games. He is the betting favorite to win Offensive Player of the Year. He could realistically have 1,000 yards within the first 7 weeks of the season. Just can't wait to watch this guy continue to make history.
Maestro.
Oh!
No!
What's crazy is his preseason total was like 12 or 1,300, and he's going to shatter that in a couple weeks. But I'm just excited to see an Eagles offense against a Dolphins defense that's given up 48 and 34 against the 2 best offenses they've played.
You literally have heaven shining upon you, and you do that.
Still doesn't help me.
It's actually, hold on, Coach. It was really fitting considering he was talking about Tyreek Hill. It was a moment of silence for any defensive back that has to cover Tyreek Hill. Well played, Maestro. Next level.
AB, talk to me.
Yep. So the Eagles defense, weeks 1 through 3, they forced 8 takeaways. Since then, 0. They are very, very, very due tonight to do it again.
They're hungry. All right, Coach Phil, bring us home.
Yeah, so we talked a few weeks back when we had the Cowboys and the 49ers about big ratings. This is entertainment, guys. I mean, this is big business. Those ratings, they did number 1 that had ever happened in that point, that week in the season. We're looking at another opportunity for NFL to set record ratings. We have an explosive Miami Dolphins offense. We got Philly playing at home. It's one of the toughest places to play. Going to be an awesome game tonight. I cannot wait.
Me either. And it kicks off in a matter of minutes. And I will just end the show and say this. I love Travis Kelce. I love Patrick Mahomes. But I draw a line when girlfriends and wives have a handshake that includes chest bumping after a touchdown when the Chiefs play. Not going to stand for it at all, ever. End it tonight. If you saw it, you know what I'm talking about. So with all that being said, enjoy the game tonight. Be kind to one another. Pay it forward. This is why we do it, for games like this. Remember why we love the National Football League so much. You just never know what's going to happen. And when you get the big boys on Sunday night, it's time to settle in and just enjoy yourself. So there's only one thing left to do. And I believe you all know what that is. By the way, we're live tomorrow night, 7:30 p.m., same time. You've got your marching orders. Let's take all of these Sunday night football tickets straight to the pay window. For my entire group, Lobo, Counselor, Maestro, AB, Coach Phil, and my man Proppy, good luck to his Eagles tonight. I am simply the coach, trying to keep this train on said track. We grind for you so we can win with you. It's truly what we're all about right here at Prime Time, Early Edge. Good luck.
This is taking the longest it's ever taken.
I was wondering what was happening.
Oh my gosh. He's making y'all wait because you need to get your picks in on time. So we can get your spanking in a second. It's just me and you, Maestro. What's